Hey everyone, I'm John Lynn, the founder and chief editor at Healthcare IT Today. We're excited to bring you another in our series of interviews with top leaders in health IT. And today we're at the HIMSS 2022 conference, and we're here with Ryan Witt. He's Industry Solutions and Strategy Leader at Proofpoint, and Mike Gregory, Healthcare Chief Information Security Officer at CDW. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Great to be here, John. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited for the discussion. So what are you hearing about security here at HIMSS? Ryan, you want to kick us off?
You know, one of the things I'm really excited about is I think that security is kind of crossed the chasm, if you will, if I want to use that analogy, where people are now, because of some of really kind of high profile events, they do see security or the importance of a cybersecurity posture as a core component of them meeting their mission. It's no longer like a compliancy sort of story. That's of course part of the story, or one about brand erosion, financial penalty. Those all things do matter, but like essentially if you're a healthcare institution and your role is to provide patient safety or patient care for your population base, and you can't do that because you have some sort of cyber event, that's a really, really significant event for that institution. And I think more and more we're seeing the need to have that investment in the resources, people, technology, processes, et cetera, that help mitigate against that. So that's a nice transformation that I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's quite the chasm to cross too.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
It's a big change. Yeah. Mike, what are you hearing?
You know, it's interesting. I see national accounts, you know, across the United States, of course, and what I hear all the time is I have a whole bunch of security tools, but I'm not reaching operational efficiency. And so I think that, you know, lots of these activities that are occurring, whether it is a cyber attack or whether it is just I can't, you know, have my doctors go through, you know, all of these hurdles to get through to do their work, I see, you know, a need for operational efficiency, and more I hear that here at HIMSS. Is I'm here to figure out how can I do it better, how can I do it, you know, cleaner, and how can I achieve that operational efficiency within my organization.
Have it stay out of the way of the doctors.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think so, but I think also the clinical community is waking up or being forced to wake up to the idea that they have to have some interruptions to their desired workflow to allow some of these efficiencies to be achieved. But to Mike's point, I want to go back to Mike's point a little bit here. You do see a lot of people really wanting to maximize or optimize their experience with their tools, and you know, resources are constrained. That's a problem in healthcare. It's a problem across the whole industry, really, or all industries, from lack of cybersecurity sort of expertise. So they're looking to, I think, more and more to organizations like CDW to provide a managed service capability, or a Proofpoint to provide a managed service capability, or they're looking for more and more automation that they can, you know, kind of take off some of those kind of more manual tasks from the people they do have in place.
Yeah, the managed service mindset has really changed from this perspective, I think, a lot. But I think the other thing that stands out to me is just how much cybersecurity is impacting patient safety. So are there some examples you've heard about, you know, like where cybersecurity has really become not just, as you said, you know, that, oh, it's a brand thing or a compliance thing, but really is impacting patient safety?
No, absolutely. And I go back to a personal, you know, example on this. When it comes to understanding the patient record or having that interoperability of having information flow from one provider to the other provider, and being able to understand the context. Sometimes we, you know, security professionals will put things or processes or even technology into place, and we forget that what you really want to achieve is interconnectivity, so that information flows from one provider to the other, and being able to treat the patient with a full context of information rather than just the information you gather at a visit. You know, doing a diagnosis by just doing a set of labs or one visit to the to the ER. It really needs to interconnect and yet remain secure while we're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I was in another discussion where someone's like, yeah, it was amazing. We implemented this interconnected technology where the data was there and we could see patients. And then when it went down, they got so pissed at us because there was a security incident which took it down. And they're like, wait, no, we became so reliant on it that then when it went down, it became a problem.
So there's the other end of the spectrum too, where there's, I mean, a number of prominent ransomware attacks that have taken down large health institutions. I don't want to name check them, they've been name checked more than adequately, but it's the kind of thing where they could not essentially provide any sort of meaningful care to the population base for the best part of a month, up to maybe 6 weeks. So they were really trying to recreate records on paper. They had patients who were, kind of oncology patients who were mid-chemo and said, we can't do your next round of chemo. I mean, imagine that, right, for a second, how impactful it is to have cancer touch your life, and then you think you're possibly on the road to a cure with, a lot of uncertainty still there, how it's going to go. Then all of a sudden you're told, I can't see you.
Yeah, even that glimmer of hope is gone.
Yeah, you now need to go to a neighboring, other health institution where they're going to have to recreate your record. They're probably going to need to take some more tests again. They're going to have to all those recalibrations, but just the personal, I think, emotional turmoil, and actual physical turmoil in terms of people's ability to recover from what ails them. This is a very tragic sort of story, which we're hearing time and time again now.
Yeah. So Ryan, how have these risks to patient safety kind of evolved over time? And are there some areas that maybe we haven't gotten to yet that could crop up, or other areas that you think could potentially be a risk that we, healthcare organizations need to be thinking about?
I think what I've seen evolve is how the InfoSec or the IT team is able to articulate the importance of this up to their board.
Okay.
I think for way too long, security was kind of parked in the regulatory compliant sort of category, and you need to do things to be compliant, or it was parked in the, it's like insurance. Like, we're never going to need the security stuff, but we like insurance, we buy just in case. And the attitudinal investment mirrored that. And so where I've seen the big change is if you're in an InfoSec team or your IT team, you now can go explain the connection to this investment does help us solve our patient care, or plays a role in the patient care, patient safety. The hospital board seem to understand that because it's very aligned to their core mission. So I think that's been the real big change.
You can even convince the CMO to get involved.
You can.
Yeah, and so to echo what you just said for Brian, but here's the what I see happening in this world is that we have too many people making important decisions that are completely uninformed, right, of how the technology works, or even what processes they should put in place for governance.
Yeah.
And so I think that, when we talked about the board is one thing in terms of, where you harvest that information. But what's more important, it comes then to those tag teams to talk about governance that really should understand the operational day-to-day impact to patient safety. Those are the teams that need to really speak up, and technology needs to be able to mirror that and come in and highlight, this particular, technology is really about patient safety, and this is how. And then be able then from there match then that business objective.
So that's my question for you. How can they? What are some keys to reducing the risk to patient safety?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can all say awareness, but it really starts with the information. So to me, it's like number one vector is get as much information or visibility within your network, outside of your network, people you deal with, and really, take that shiny car and pop the hood up.
Ignorance is not bliss.
Yeah, exactly. And take a look at what's happening underneath. And what's happening underneath is how people are doing things. So it's workflow, it's people, how they interact, it's security professionals or others trying to bypass security controls that are in place for a reason, or bypass, complete workflows. So if we can get these teams to really understand when we come in and say, this is about patient safety. This is about operational efficiencies. And this is security control is here to help you achieve those goals in a safe manner.
Nice. Ryan, what would you add?
I think what I would add is try to understand the profile of your healthcare teams and workers. So if you have people who, by the nature of their job, work in a vulnerable way, they have to download files or interact with the cloud, or just by the nature of their job, they're more vulnerable. If you have people who have access to systems, credentials, they're more vulnerable. if you have people who have a high profile, they're more vulnerable. If you have the combination of all those three things, they're really vulnerable. And if that person's involved in patient care, that's where it becomes very, very risky, because this is where you see the very targeted, very sophisticated, highly social engineered attacks that compel the receiver of that email to want to interact. And it's very easy to be duped. And if they do get duped, they do hand over even pieces of the credential puzzle without all the credentials. These attackers will build that puzzle over time, and then this is where you can have significant compromises to patient safety. Everything from them circumventing billing, them circumventing or being able to get access to controlled substances so they can flood that in the black market, etc. So there's a lot of direct sort of impacts that really can harm the patient if you don't have that sort of understanding in place.
And I would add one more thing, is it's about modernizing IT and modernizing all of the controls that they have in place to meet that, again, operational efficiency. And so too long we hold on to technology that's 20 years old and a particular operating system that is no longer supported, and there's unwillingness to move the needle to provide greater patient safety. And I think that is another area that should be improving.
Excellent. Well, Ryan and Mike, I appreciate you being here and sharing the insights and perspectives, and thanks everyone for watching. If you want to find more great healthcare IT content like this, be sure to check it out at healthcareittoday.com and search for healthcareittoday.com on your favorite podcasting application. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.